Hi, Lisa. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry.
I just logged in because I was like, oh, maybe I'll just make sure that like
Yeah, that's probably let me just Lillian started it. I'm just texting with Gary.
yeah, he just gave me a call. It's okay, there's only three people in the waiting room, so it's not like
Okay, trying to get him to log on. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't ever had this issue with
yeah, me neither.
I haven't used Zoom for long enough that it wants me to use a code, so
Yeah,
it's
I
kind
don't
of
know
odd.
what that was because I've never had that before either.
Mm.
Okay, I see Gary. There we go.
Oh, great. Okay.
And I'll make him the co-host as well. And then when I leave, I'll make you the host. Hey, Gary, sorry about that.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can hear you great. And don't worry, there's only 3 people in the waiting room, so we can start if like it's okay if you start a minute late or something.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
I've never had that happen, and I'm like trying to figure it out. And there's a note in the account login thing about a tab with another way to get in, and I'm looking around and trying to figure that out. And then, yeah.
I mean, sometimes a two-step verification just like is a pain.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make you the host, Lisa, and then I'll drop out.
Okay.
But yeah, sorry about that.
No worries. Thanks for jumping in.
So Lisa, you're going to run the presentation, and I have a separate iPad that I'm reading from. Is that okay?
You mean you want me to move the slides, or?
Yeah, maybe if you don't mind. I mean, I can do it as well if you want.
Either way, I mean, it's just I usually find it. You'll have to tell me, when to swap slides and stuff. So if you want to do that, that's fine.
You know what? Why don't I'll get on and run it now and see if I can share screens.
Okay. Let me. Oh my God, I'm totally discombobulated from all this.
All right, I'll stay on. I can like stay on, and actually, if you make me the host again or a co-host, I can stay on and do like tech support for the first 10 minutes just to like. There was just a load of people in the waiting room, but it all disappeared.
Trying to close all of my extra windows so that doesn't take up.
Is the presentation showing up now?
It's just loading, I think.
Yeah, it looks like I see.
Oh,
I don't know. I see a black screen.
Oh, really? So
yeah.
it's not it because I'm looking at it now and it says I'm sharing screen. Oh, it says it's paused. What does that mean?
I'm
Just
not sure.
Why would it? Oh, here, let's try this.
And there's no one in the waiting room right now, so. Oh, I see. No, sorry, I just made my here.
Still a black screen. It says 7 people entered the waiting room.
I'll just message them and just let them know, like we're getting ready. We'll just be 1 minute.
I don't know why this isn't.
Okay.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, we
Okay.
can see the second slide.
Okay, just 1 second. Okay, now you should be at the start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
I just want to make sure I pulled the bike to work week 1 off of this, which I think I did. Or go by bike week. Yes, it's off.
Okay, perfect. And then the polls had already launched, Lisa, or already in there. And and Gary, I've made you the spotlight for the video, for the like camera, so people can see you.
Okay. But the presentation shows up.
Presentation is the main thing, but like,
Okay.
as in there won't be like loads of people's videos up against the side. It's just your videos. People can like see you talking.
Okay, so sounds good.
Okay, I will let people in. And yeah, sorry again about those initial issues, and I'll make you a host again, Lisa, and then leave.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Lillian.
Yeah.
All right. Looks like people are trickling in. Okay, I think everybody's in. All right, we're only 2 minutes late.
Let me know when we're good.
Yeah, anytime. We're good.
Oh, okay, great. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to Hub's fall and winter cycling webinar session. We got a good day today to go through this as it's rain's really coming down. So glad to see you here and hope you're choosing your bike and riding safely out there. So we'll try and get through this fairly on time. We only have an hour. So just starting with our land acknowledgement. So Hub's office is on the traditional unceded and unsurrendered territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. And I am currently in New Westminster, so where we are on the Kite Nation. So welcome. So we are Hub Cycling. We're a member-based organization, started in 1998, formerly known as the Vancouver Cycling Coalition. And our goal is to get more people biking more often. We're in the school system. We're in the elementary and middle schools in the Lower Mainland, and now going out into other communities within BC. And we're trying to get all school-age children to take a bike course before they leave elementary school. So events that we host are or facilitate and encourage or Go by Bike Week, Bike to School Week, and Bike to Shop. And we also have local committees full of volunteers that advocate for better policy and infrastructure for cyclists with the municipal governments, the provincial governments, and other stakeholders. So my name's Gary Carlson. I'm a bike education instructor with Hub. I'm also the co-chair of the Hub New Westminster Local Committee. I recently just finished a season of going into elementary schools and teaching grades 3 to 7 bike skills in the Learn to Ride and Ride the Road program. It was a really, really good experience. It was made me quite proud to see that our youth are really excited about cycling and choosing it to get around. So we just want to do a poll here and just find out everyone's experience that's on in the webinar right now. So Lisa, if you're able to throw the poll up. And just get a sense of what everyone's experience is. So if you can take a moment to answer the question. Okay. Great. So we've got a little bit of a mix, which is good. Nobody's never done it. That's good. So there's some experience here. People have been out and tried it out. Do I end the poll, Lisa, or is that something? Great. So we've got one person's tried it a few times, 2 once or twice a month, 1 once or twice a week, and 4 some or most days of the week. That's excellent. Good for you. Good for everyone for getting out there. I think I can click on that one. Lisa, do I have to remove the poll off the screen? I'll just take it off. Okay, so we'll do one more poll here. I think this is it. What are your current reservations or challenges for riding in cold weather or fall weather? So what's stopping you or preventing you from getting out more often out there? Not having enough of the right weather appropriate gear, not feeling comfortable or confident riding in cold and wet conditions, the dark conditions as well, fear of slipping and falling in icy conditions, too much hassle dressing and preparing just for a what could be a 20-minute bike ride to work or 30-minute bike ride to work, or some other option there. If you want to just note that, we'll throw that poll up as well. If you can take a second to just fill that in. right? Icy conditions. Okay. Yeah. So not feeling comfortable. Someone with weather appropriate gear, that's a huge part of riding in the fall and winter. Excellent. So I will just shut that one down. I think everyone's done. So we have one person that answered not having the appropriate gear. Two with the cold and wet conditions, possibly the low light or the darkness, and then 5 of slipping and falling on icy conditions. All good fears to have, and there is steps we can take to mitigate that. So we'll go through some of this right now. So our workshop overview. So we're going to talk about outfitting your bike for fall and winter, and what you can do to keep your bike running in optimal condition, and in what are harsh conditions out there. There's the salt, the water, the mud, all that stuff builds up and does affect the mechanical condition of your bike. And then we'll talk about outfitting yourself. So all of the different clothing, apparel for fall and winter riding. We'll do a Q&A. Go through some riding tips, talk about route planning, in particular in the fall and winter, and then we can end it with a Q&A. So we'll just move on. So outfitting your bike. So very, very different looking, how your bike will look between riding in the summer and riding in the fall and winter. So the first item that we can talk about is fenders, really just keeping the mud, keeping the water, keeping the spray off of not just yourself and your back, but also riders that are in your vicinity. So fenders are excellent. Throughout the presentation today, I'm going to talk a lot about what I use. Everyone does have their own preferences depending on your routes, what type of bike you want to ride and whatnot. So I'll really just talk about what's available out there. I'll also throw in things that I use, but keep in mind, everyone has their own ideas and comfort levels for different gear and different accessories. So there's reasons why I use things, and I'll just talk about those. So fenders are a great one. For me, it's a must if you're going to ride in the rain, because it keeps you just that much drier as well. And like I said, it keeps the spray off of other riders that might be behind you. Okay. Another one is you can lower your saddle. So this is going to bring your center of gravity down. It's going to make it a little bit easier when you come to a stop, whether it be a stop sign, crosswalk, red light, to get started again as well. So always a good idea to lower your center of gravity and just be in a more comfortable starting position. Typically, when you're riding in fall and winter, you're not riding as fast, you're riding more cautiously. So having that lower saddle shouldn't really impact your speed on getting to work and whatnot. So other things we can do is a good selection of tires and the pressure that we're going to have in them. So when you have wet and slippery conditions, you want to have more contact between the rubber and the road. Okay, so things you can do is use wider tires. Maybe you can let out some of the pressure in there. So that's gonna expand your contact area with your tread and the road. This is going to help prevent more slipping. So certainly one to use. Definitely the wider tires is a good one. Your road tires that you use in summer, maybe they have less tread on them. It's not going to be a selection you want to use when you're in the fall and winter. You can also get tires that have like a heavy tread on them, or even studded tires. So if there's a chance that you're going to be encountering ice or icy conditions, or hiding black ice that's in shaded areas along your routes, you're going to want to consider studded tires, because those are really dangerous and they often sneak up on you. I haven't personally used studded tires before. I really trying to avoid the icy conditions as much as possible. But if you can't, then certainly selecting studded tires is a good option. I know riders that use them, and for the investment, they've said it's a good idea if you're going to be riding in those cold conditions to swap them out when it gets cold, and then swap them, back off and just store them when you don't need them. Okay. We'll talk about brakes. So bikes have different kinds of brakes. You might have disc brakes. You might have rim brakes. Both brakes work well as long as they're maintained properly. The one thing you need to understand is your rim brakes are closer to the elements because you might be riding through puddles, through slush, through long grass or mud or leaves. Your rim brakes are more prone because they're closer to the ground. Your rim gets closer to the ground when the wheel turns. Your brakes are more prone to encountering that debris and may not function as properly, may not have as much stopping power. Your rim brakes are obviously further from the ground and less exposed to those elements if you go through puddles and whatnot. So they are a better selection if you're going to be in wet and muddy or those extreme conditions. So definitely disc brakes are a good choice too. Either way, you want to maintain them, make sure they function properly. You know, every time before you leave your house, make sure your brakes are working properly, okay? Lighting. Lights are huge in the fall and winter. Really, they're also the law if you're going to be out a half hour before dusk and a half hour after dawn. So if you're going to be riding during these times, even in the summer, you need lights. So the law requires a front white light and a rear red light plus reflector. A lot of the lights are a reflector combination on the back, the red. So usually you can just have the one piece on the back, but it is the law to make sure you have them on. And we'll get into a little bit about the studies of lights and how much they improve cyclist safety. So when you are buying lights, in particular on the front, there's lights you want to consider whether you're buying a light to be seen, okay? So other people that are sharing the space, cars and whatnot, to see you, you might have a less bright light, maybe 100 lumens, right? Then there's light, you may want to buy a front light where you want to use it to see. If you're on a side street, alley, some kind of pathway that's not lit, you may want to use that light to actually see what's in front of you, okay? So in that case, you're going to want to step up the lumens and get up to about the 300 to 500 if you can. For me, I stick to the lit roadways if I'm going to ride in low light levels. So my light choice is to be seen, but I do know a lot of riders that use the 2C lights and really light up in front of them, and it's actually quite good. It works; they work quite well. There's also many other lights. You can get your spoke cap or your tire cap lights, these ones here, if you can see my cursor, which are really neat when you use them. But definitely the more lighting, the better. I also use one of the little turtle lights strapped onto the back of my helmet. So I have a red one up top. I really recommend doing that, just really being seen. Most of my cyclist friends have some kind of light on their helmet as well. It just gets that light up higher from the back of your seat and gives more opportunity for, in particular, motor vehicles to see you as they are driving out there. Okay, so yeah, like I mentioned, MEC, I think the other company that we, is it Works, I think sells them, but you're gonna want to, you can buy cheaper ones that might require battery replacements or ones that have USB chargers. Just really make sure you're testing your lights. You can always throw a spare in your bag just in case. The other night, my front light died, but when it dies, it shuts off after about 15 seconds. So I was able to, at least by continually turning it on, it got me home. As soon as I got home, I threw it on the charger, okay? The other thing, your bike may be equipped with a dynamo hub. I spent some time learning about dynamo hubs, which are really neat. And for those of you who have them, you know, it's quite a thing. What it does is it's a generator, essentially. It's like the old dynamo generators that rubbed on the side of your rim, but they've built them inside the hubs now, right? So you can actually run the wires up, and you can power your lights, you can power your technology, your devices. they are more money to get them on, and you know, you'd have to take them unless you know how to do it. But I've heard that they work quite well, and certainly you can have brighter lights running all the time if you can get a dynamo hub on there. So okay. It's Welk's on Main Street is the other place to get gear. Lighting up day and night. So there's been a recent study that's come out that having your lights on during the day can lower the risk of being hit by 47%. So this is a big deal. It's not often in our thought process to turn our lights on when we're in the daytime, but I've got into the habit of doing it now. And I certainly recommend. I mean, these studies are there. I mean, the data is really irrefutable. So being seen is going to reduce the chance of collisions. So really recommend having your lights on if you have them during the day as well. Okay, other gear, bike accessories. Once again, I'm going to talk about things that I like, and things that are available, but really just there's lots of products out there, and it depends on, you know, what you're carrying, where you're working, how long you're riding to get to work or wherever you're going. So one thing that I came across many years ago is a really good set of large waterproof panniers, right? So they hang on the back rack. So you have to have a back rack on your bike. The panniers hang on, they're totally waterproof. I can fill them with, you know, my lunch, my change of clothes, my towel for showering, all that kind of stuff. And I know it's going to be dry when I get to work and or home. So getting a good set of panniers for me is really important. It's a piece of gear that I definitely would not go without any longer. So that's one. And my personal recommendation, if you're going to buy panniers, is go bigger. If you think you might just have your lunch in a pannier and that's it, you buy a small pannier. You might end up wanting to carry your laptop and something else in there at a later date, and then it's not going to fit. So having it a little bit bigger, you can usually cinch them down. So panniers are good. It also gets the weight off of your back as well if you were carrying a backpack. So which I found is really a lot more comfortable. And I've never gone back. Wearing a backpack now when I ride, I feel very uncomfortable. So panniers are a great one. But whatever you use, even if you're going to use a backpack, you're going to want to have some kind of waterproofing system on it, right? Whether that's a cover, maybe you can keep inside your backpack so that when you do get out and go to work or hit the road and it is raining, you can get that cover over top of your backpack. You really want to make sure your stuff is dry when you get to work or home or wherever your destination is. The other thing to consider is seat covers. If you're storing your bike outside while you're at work or at your destination, having a seat cover on there will prevent your seat or your saddle from really soaking up a lot of water, which can make a difference when you go to get back on your bike afterwards, right? Let's see what else we have for gear. We'll get into a little bit more in a bit. So we'll just move on here. So fall and winter bike maintenance. So being in the harsh conditions, the salt, the water, the slush, the ice, the mud, the sand, all that kind of stuff, you're going to want to spend a little bit more time just caring for your bike, in particular after you've been out in a wet condition day. Once your bike, if you don't get a chance to rinse it off, once your bike dries with that sand or that salt solution on it, it just becomes that much more work to actually get it off, and it can really affect the performance of different things. In particular, your brakes, right? Brakes are a big one. For me, unfortunately, my brake design on my bike is a cable disc brake, and the cable housing ends up turning upwards before it goes in the back brake. And what happens is the water gets in there and it'll actually jam my rear brake. So this is a flaw that I found in the brake system that I have. But really knowing what's going on with your bike and where those challenges can happen is really, really important. So I spend a little bit more time focusing on my back brake when I'm trying to dry out my bike or clean my bike. The other one is your chain maintenance as well, right? You want to so the different lubes that you can use, the different chain lubricants are dry and wet. Dry lubricant really is for dry conditions, dry seasons. So and it has to be applied when your chain is clean. So you really want to use the wet lubricants in the winter. It's going to help the performance of your chain better. So monitor that. You can use WD-40 to help protect the coating of your chain, but you're going to want to get that good wet lubricant on there and make sure your chain is always in a well lubricated situation. Just back to the brake pads or the rims, actually the rims and the discs, is you're going to want to monitor your rims just so there's no buildup of any type of sand, grit. Cleaning your disc, if you have disc brakes, cleaning your rotors, you want to use just like a paper towel or a lint-free cloth. I use Brake Clean. You can usually get it at the bike stores as well. They'll have some kind of a disc rotor cleaner, but Brake Clean is a really good. It's like almost like a degreaser or like a heavy degreaser, almost like Varsol. Wipe it down or alcohol. Get some nice and clean. Do that every so often, maybe once a week, depending on how much you're riding. You'll find that your brakes perform a lot better. Also, keep an eye on your brake pads as you go along if you have disc brakes. Just because usually you can as you're riding, you'll notice whether there's more play in your brakes, but you're just going to want to keep an eye on your brake, how much life you have left in the pads as well. Basic toolkits. You're gonna want to make sure you have a multi-tool, some kind of multi-tool. The one I use is just it's got a combination of Allen keys, a Phillips head screwdriver. They just flip out. It's got a flat head on it. You definitely want to keep that on you. You just never know what's going to come up as you go along. You might need to make an adjustment on your brakes, on your gears at an inopportune moment. So having that tool is a big thing, as well as patch kits. And I always carry a spare tube on me as well. Just because I have panniers and big panniers, having a spare tube in there doesn't take up that much room. The other thing you want to keep on you is your compass card. You never know when you're going to have to abandon the bike ride and jump on transit. So keep that handy. As far as e-bikes go, I don't have a lot of experience on e-bikes. My understanding with them is you're going to want to make sure your electronic systems are kept dry, whether that's your battery, make sure you wipe it down after your rides, or if you are leaving your bike for a period of time when you go to work. Okay, so we'll just move on to the next one. We'll talk about outfitting ourselves. What do we want to wear? So the things you want to consider obviously are temperature, the weather conditions. You want to know sort of, is rain coming? What's the forecast for the day? Other things what is your comfort level? Set some realistic goals. Maybe if the week coming up is a real bad weather week, maybe you just want to pick one day. If Thursday looks like it's okay, maybe just pick Thursday and try riding that day, right? You don't really want to jump in this too hardcore, because building your confidence, building your comfort level does take time. As much as we all want to get out there sometimes and ride our bike, you got to remember that everyone else in the space is adapting to the conditions as well. So there might be the car drivers on the road, if it's all of a sudden a cold day, maybe those drivers haven't driven in a cold day since last year. So they're also adapting themselves. So everyone using the space is getting comfortable with it, right? So there's a little bit higher likelihood of things going wrong. So just really take the baby steps. Pick a nice day that might work out for you or weather-wise, and maybe ride that particular day, see how it goes, right? You might learn that you need some different gear, or something worked for you, something didn't work for you. So you might want to add, one piece at a time, and really sort of celebrate those small successes. If you do, pick that day and get to work and get home and everything went safely and everything went good, celebrate it. Maybe you want to try 2 days the next week. Okay. Okay. Clothing and accessories. So This is the layering you want to do is not a whole lot different than hiking and other outdoor activities when you're in cold conditions. So you want to have your wicking layers low down, right? You want to be able to you want to stay away from the cottons that are going to soak up and they're not going to dry out. So having maybe those artificial fabrics, on your skin, or the first couple layers, and then you want to work your way up to the waterproof outer layers, right? And in between, you can add warmth or whatever other clothing you feel comfortable with. For me, I have waterproof pants and I have a waterproof jacket, and then I just layer up underneath accordingly. I might have a wool, I have a Stanfield that I might wear if it's cold, that's in between my waterproof layer and my wicking layer. And I don't know if you can see my screen, but I have a balaclava here that's really great. It goes over your head. It's got a neck portion and then the hood is attached and it's nice and thin. Your helmet goes over top of it. I find I only ever need it for really cold days because it does warm me up. So I oftentimes start with it maybe over my face, over my nose, and over my head. And by the end of my ride, I've pulled it down from my mouth and I've actually peeled it off my head. But it's really good to have. It's really lightweight and it packs up nice and tight. So one to consider. If it doesn't work with your hair, if you have long hair, then you can just have a two-piece where you have maybe just get a neck warmer and then consider having just some kind of cap under your helmet as well. I wear my waterproof hood sometimes under my helmet, but having a waterproof cover over your helmet keeps a lot of that water running down your neck, running down your jacket. Okay, so really helpful there, trying to stay dry. Body ponchos. So I don't really have a lot of experience with this, but I've heard about them. There's one in the picture there, you can see it. So these work well in the rain, I've heard. And then you just carry clothes if you need to. Now, the thing with body ponchos or with the ponchos is you need to beware of the wind, right? So if it is a gusty day, that they're going to pick up more wind. They're more prone to getting caught in the wind. So just be aware of that. Okay. So accessories. So we're going to continue on here. Gloves. So I cannot stress this enough. If you are going to invest in something, buy a good pair of warm waterproof gloves. If your hands get cold, enough, you will not be able to ride your bike safely. It is too difficult to change your gears, and it's too difficult to pull your brakes. Whenever we're in the schools, I always tell the kids, I remind them to bring gloves the next day. And the ones that don't bring them actually can't even ride because your hands, they don't function properly. So really important to have a good pair of gloves. You might even want a second pair of gloves just as a backup. Doesn't have to be a really expensive pair, but if you're on your way back and your gloves are wet, maybe you can throw on that other pair just to get you home. But good gloves are critical because they will help you ride safely. Your feet. So I use shoe covers, waterproof shoe covers, which I think work quite well. I know people ride in gumboots. If their commute's not too long and it's not in a real arduous ride, they'll just wear their boots, get them to where they're going, and then they'll have an extra pair of shoes or indoor shoes they'll change into. But really having extra socks, figuring out that footwear. If you don't have waterproof covers, then you might need an extra pair of shoes at your destination. But they make a huge difference. I mean, having wet shoes, wet feet, if you can't dry them out, is a big deal depending on sort of where you're going. Drying your gear. If you are fortunate enough that you have a destination, whether it's work or wherever you're going, where you can dry your gear, this is a huge thing. It makes your ride home so much better. When I was working a few years ago at a place, we had a little cabinet where we kept drawings in, like large construction drawings. And so I threw a heater in it and I put a cover over it to dry my gear out. It makes a huge difference. So if you're able to find a place at your destination, your work, or talk to your work where they can dedicate a space for drying your gear out, this is a really big deal. Like I said, putting on wet gear, on your trip home at the end of the day, it'll throw your focus off your riding. It could distract you. It's quite a big deal. So if there's a way to get your gear dried out wherever you are, please, you want to push for that. Okay. The other thing is having extra clothes, maybe even having extra clothes at work. You just keep them there, right? So if you can't get your gear dried out, you have a spare, in a bag somewhere, or a locker or something like that. Okay, we'll stop for a quick Q&A. I know I've been talking pretty fast. Don't know, the chat looks like it's got a lot going on in it, Lisa.
Yeah, we've been I've been answering some questions about things as they come up. So
okay,
let's see, what have we got? There's the paddling boots. I mentioned that I use level 6 paddling boots because they're flexible rubber, so they can be rolled up and put in a bag, but they also move with my ankles. I wear them as shoes. They don't go over my shoes, so they're instead of shoes.
So you said paddling boots, like
yeah,
okay,
for, I don't know, canoeing or kayaking or something. I got them at MEC, but they're rain boots, but they're not really stiff. Like, a lot of rain boots are quite stiff, so it's not necessarily that comfortable to pedal in them. Or when you're putting your foot down, your ankle bends. So these ones are really good for cycling, I find. There's another question about waterproof gloves. Any recommendations?
I'm still using the gloves that I've had for about 7 years. So I know
Wow.
when I bought them for my family, I just went to Caps, and I feel like it was specialized. I don't personally have any recommendations, but I just really take your time and buy something that fits well. How about you, Lisa? Do you have any?
I don't use waterproof gloves. I just use cheap ones, and then I use pogies over top of my handlebars. So, like the bar mitts, they're sometimes called. That slide with the shift cargo trike shows some. Yeah, there it is. So they're just they look like a boot almost that goes over the handlebars, and you just slide your hands in, and it keeps the wind and the rain and the cold off of your hands. So then you can just wear light gloves underneath. So that's what I do. Not everybody will like having something over their hands that's attached to the bike, though. So it's kind of a personal preference sort of thing. But I find that they're handy. I just put them on in October and November, and take them off and whenever it gets a little warmer in the spring.
So do they stay on your bike when your bike's parked and you're at work or at a destination?
Generally, yeah. I don't
Okay.
park my bike for too long, and I'm lucky to have indoor bike parking at work, but I have taken them off sometimes, but they are a bit annoying to put on and off. So it depends on the pogie. Some of them are easier with zippers, so those would be easy to pop on and off. I think the ones there might be neoprene with zippers, so they would be easier to get on and off.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, sounds good. And anything else from the chat?
We've got a question about when should we store the bike at home? When or how? Sorry, where or how should we store the bike at home? What do we do when our lock freezes?
Oh no. Okay. I haven't had experience with the lock freezing, but when it has happened not on a bike lock, the cupping and the breathing on it has actually made a difference when I've tried it. As far as storing your bike goes, I can't remember if we get into this later on, but you're definitely going to want to, if you have a space available that does have some heat or is inside, is definitely a good idea. That's what I do, but I do have space. So first of all, it's going to want to be secure. You don't want anyone stealing your bike. And second of all, if you do have a heated space, I mean, that's going to help dry your bike out quicker at the end of a ride or after you've rinsed it down. Is that what the question was about?
I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, like as an example, it depends on what each rider has available to them. I know a lot of people keep their bikes on their decks or on their balcony decks. The big thing is if you've rinsed it down and then it's out there, it might do a little bit better than not rinsing it down, putting it out there, and now it still has the salt solution or the sand or the grit on it. It's more likely to, you know, maybe experience mechanical wear sooner. So the cleaner and the drier you can get it, the better. But we don't all have that luxury of space.
There's another question about wearing glasses. So how do we keep the rain off our faces so we don't have to stop and wipe them off?
Wow, I don't have any experience with that. I only ever wear sunglasses, but I don't wear them in the rain. So I'm not sure about that one.
I wear glasses. I just tend to deal with the raindrops. Like I find I can see well enough with raindrops on my glasses, so I don't really wipe them off. I have seen people with visors. There are some helmets out there that have like a visor that comes down over the top half of your face, so that might be an option. I know Bowen Ma, she uses like I think it's a face shield, just like a COVID kind of face shield. She attaches that to her helmet, and that keeps the rain off of her face, so that it doesn't mess up her makeup. I don't think she wears glasses, or maybe she does, but I remember her talking about that on TikTok. It was mainly to keep the rain off her makeup when she's commuting by bike. So that might be an option, getting one of those face shields. It would be a cheap thing to try anyway.
Right.
But yeah, generally, I haven't seen anything on the roads that much. The visors are pretty rare here, as far as I know. But
if you're able to have a like my raincoat has a pouch in the front. I mean, if you're able to just for that short time, maybe keep a dry cloth, some absorbent cloth that works for wiping your glasses down, that might be an option. On the my gloves have a built-in. It's like a micro fleece. I think it's more for wiping your nose quickly if you have to, but I think that might also work, but it might smear it a bit more. So certainly,
yeah, I don't know if it would be better.
Having an absorbent cloth maybe in a dry spot on you could help out as well.
Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention is having a brim. So if your helmet has a brim, that's really helpful. Not like I found a lot of the older kind of sports style helmets, the brims were quite high up and they weren't that useful, or they'd have a lot of like vent holes in them. The ones that I find more useful for keeping the rain off your glasses a little bit are like Burn helmets, Netcase helmets, 1000 helmets. They have like a fairly small brim, but it's very close and low, close to your eyes, and it's all one piece from the helmet, to the brim, so there's no water getting through there. I find that helps a little bit. I have a helmet from 1000 that has one of those. Or you could also just wear a baseball cap underneath your helmet, and that would provide you a little bit of an awning for your glasses.
Okay to move on.
Yeah. Oh no, one more. Talking about advice on clipping in for winter.
I have never used clips before in all my years, so I'm not sure, but I have seen many people fall when they're coming to a stop, so because they can't get their foot out. So do you have any experience with clips?
Yes, that's the first winter that I rode clipped in. That was the only time that I fell over completely while it was still clipped in. I just hit some ice coming up to a bag button and just tipped over. I personally don't clip in anymore because a lot of my riding is with kids on a cargo bike, and I don't want to be attached to the bike for that. yeah, basically once I started riding with my children on the bike, I stopped clipping in, and I probably wouldn't for the winter. So if you have pedals that are like clip on one side and flat on the other, that can work, those like flip-flop pedals, or just change your pedals for the winter maybe. I would say you're going to need to get your feet off of your bike more often if it's yeah, slippery conditions. So I wouldn't want to be attached to the bike. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
If
So
you, yeah, like a small investment in another set of pedals might mean that you can ride more and maybe you'll save on gas or bus fare or whatever. So it might work out if the money is a concern.
buy a
There's a
pedal
couple
wrench too.
more. Okay, no more questions, I think.
Okay. So we'll move on then.
Mhm.
So we're going to get into some tips here. So the basic needs as a rider, right? So you need to be able to move. Okay. So this is big, because similar to what we talked about with the pedal clips, is that you need to be able to react. You're going to have more extreme, more harsh conditions, more unexpected things happening, because once again, we're not the only users of the space out there. We're not the only users of the road or the walkways. You're going to need to be able to react. So that ability to move, whether that means not clipping in your feet or wearing layers that allow you to still turn and do shoulder checks, or to use your hands to brake and change gears, right? So really big to make sure you can move and move through the space properly too. So keeping some distance between things, right? You want that additional reaction time, especially low light, lots going on. You might be thinking about other things. You might be cold, you might be wet, you might have raindrops on your glasses. It changes your reaction time. So giving yourself that fulfilling that need to move, right, and react. Okay. The other one is the need to be seen. So remember, we are, as a cyclist, we're vulnerable road users out there. We're in a space where there's lots of things that can be dangerous or hurt us. So you want to be seen. Really important. Wear high vis, wear bright colors, have your lights on. Give everyone else in the space a chance to know you're there and see you and see what you're doing. Okay. So really important. Reflectors, high vis, helmets. I just bought a helmet a couple weeks ago. I picked the brightest one I could. It wasn't really about style, it was about being seen. Okay. So really good. The need to be clear. Okay. So you want to use all of the tools at your disposal. Use your hand signals, your bells, your horns, eye contact, see what people are doing. Everyone has things going on in their life that are in the space with you. They're using their transportation modes to get where they're going. They're giving, they're not always giving their full attention to everyone that's out there. They may not know what you're doing, right? So really try and be clear with what you're doing. Try and ride predictably. Weaving in and out of spaces or braking suddenly for a reason that you might have but isn't apparent to the other users in the space, could cause a collision. So really be clear on how you're riding to other users in the space, right? And that goes in with the need to be expected, right? So you don't want to be surprising people. I often tell students, never stop when you're in a bike lane or you're on a multi-use path riding along. To just stop without announcing it is oftentimes how accidents happen, because other bikers will hit you or other users will hit you. So really ride as if someone is expecting things from you, right? Pull over to the side, then stop, or just remember that the other users, they don't know what's going on in your head. They're watching what you're doing though. Okay. The in and out of traffic, you want to avoid that at all costs, in particular in the winter, right? Okay, so we're going to go down to slow turns. So when the conditions are not, actually I'll go back there. When the conditions are not favorable, or wet, you want to do your turn slowly. You want to be a little bit more upright, okay? You don't want to go into them fast like you do in dry conditions when you're zipping around a corner, because your tires are gonna they're gonna slide out from under you. So you want to take your turns slower. Assume that the actual surface might be slippery. So really watch that. More upright, okay? You want to have that gravity going down on your bike through your contact surface area of your tread, okay? And if in doubt, if the corner looks like it's got a lot of ice on it, or that, like you see in the picture, there's slush or packed ice, hop off your bike, just walk it around the corner, hop back on, right? You don't want to go down. Okay, so signaling and braking, right? So we want to ride with both hands on the brake. So often what I tell the kids is just stopping with your front brake can be extremely dangerous. You might do an endo. Just stopping with your back brake could send you into a drift or a skid, right? So you really want to try and use both brakes. When it comes to signaling, you obviously have to take your hand off your handlebar to signal. Just remember, if you can't do that while maintaining a safe riding situation, use your brakes first. You need to be riding safely before you signal, okay? So maybe pull over, stop, and then consider a signal, or use sidewalks, get off your bike and walk it if you're off to the side. You need to make sure that you use your brakes safely out there, okay? Feather your brakes. You know, you're just pulling them lightly at first, and then slowly working up to a more aggressive pull on them, right? If you pull your brakes hard and the conditions are slippery, you're more likely to get into a slide situation, just like in a car, right? They have anti-lock brakes, right? In motor vehicles, right? You don't want to go hard into that braking situation just in case it is slippery, right? So if you don't know what the hand signals are, the one in the picture is obviously a right hand turn. So you want to give notice on these whenever your turn is coming up. Let people know what's going on, and it's not just a quick point to the right and your arms back on, unless you're trying to stop safely. You want to make sure that people see it. So hold your arm out for a few seconds. If you can see my camera, your left arm up also indicates a right turn, okay? Your left arm straight out will indicate a left turn, and your left arm pointing down indicates stopping or slowing down. So if you can safely use hand signals, it's really important that you do, so drivers understand what's going on. Okay, so if you have to choose one brake over the other, you know, you're going to want to use your back brake. But once again, feather into it, okay? Don't just pull it hard, okay? Using both brakes at the same time is your best stopping situation, though. Okay, lane positioning. So the recommended distance between yourself and the curb or a car is 1 meter. This will help in many ways. We have catch basins, we have storm drains that are usually up against the curb that you're going to want to stay away from. Likewise, on the right, the cars could have items hanging off them if it's a truck or something like that, or there's someone jumping out of a vehicle at a stop light. The door might open. Just really keep your distance. It's what we talked about before, was giving yourself enough space so that you can react accordingly, and making sure other users of the space have enough time to react to you, right? So if everyone keeps their space, we're more likely to be able to react in time to avoid collisions or impact situations. Remember, drivers in the winter, they are suffering situations just like cyclists, where maybe their windows are fogging up, it's dark, they can't see, there's bright lights in their face, you know, their eyes can't adjust all the time to the lower light of a cyclist. So though they're also going through challenges, it's not like they're sitting there watching the cyclists and monitoring them and just ready to react. They have things going on as well. So it's just another reason to give yourself more space. just so everyone can share that space safely. The door zone, for those of you who don't know, I'm sure you all do, the door zone, if sometimes kids jump out of cars, sometimes passengers jump out of cars. You're going to want to make sure that you leave enough distance so that if that door opens, you can either stop or safely go around it. You don't want to go out into traffic to go around it. You don't want to be faced with those decisions of what should I do? Give yourself enough room. What I often do is I often anticipate or try to anticipate or expect that a stopped car with its running lights on might have somebody jumping out of it. So just be very mindful of that. If you see a car pull over 50 feet in front of you to park, just remember that there's a pretty good chance someone might be jumping out of the driver's side of that car. So try and anticipate it, try and expect it. So just talking about lane positioning again here. So as you can see in this graphic, there is a door opening where a car has parked. So you're going to want to keep your distance in this one. The cyclist is maintaining the position that's the left side of the cycle lane, which is going to give you enough room. Some cycle lanes and some people that park cars don't always go right over to the curb. Sometimes they encroach on the cycle lane. So in that situation, if you see that coming, you may want to slow down as opposed to having to be faced with swerving into traffic. Okay, so really approach those situations cautiously. Taking the lane. For those of you that feel confident enough, taking the lane is your legal right on the roadway. You're allowed to ride on the road as if you were a motor vehicle operator, and taking the lane is a safe way to do it. It doesn't always feel like it's safe, but what it does is it allows the car operators to know what you're doing and not try and take a risky move. If you're traveling on the right side of the lane, cars sometimes will try and go around you, and they'll take a risky decision, and they might go into the opposing lane, or they might cut closer to you, right? So taking the lane in situations is certainly something that you're allowed to do, and if you feel confident enough to do it, it's recommended. It can be very safe when done properly. Cars are often impatient, or drivers are often impatient with this, especially if you're going up a hill because you're traveling slower, but it is your right, and it can be the safest move. Okay. So certainly consider that. If in doubt, go for it if you feel comfortable. You're far more visible. Many cyclists would rather, well, I've heard this, many cyclists would rather get hit from behind by a car than either get doored or get sideswiped or get knocked into something, right? So just things to consider. Okay, cadence and gears. So cadence is the speed at which your pedals are operating. So just talking about cold weather conditions, harsher conditions where your chain is exposed to more salt solutions or slush, you're going to just want to keep an eye on your cadence and your gear positioning. So really, if you're running the two derailleurs on your front or your pedal, and then your rear derailleur on your back wheel, you're just going to want to be mindful that if you're running your front derailleur in the number 1 gear position, you're going to want to keep your rear somewhere between 1 and 3. What this does is it takes the strain off of your chain. So if you're running on 1 in the front and say 7 in the back, you've now got lateral strain on your chain. And when your chain's cold or exposed to harsh conditions, this can really impact it. So when you're running your front derailleur on 1, you want to keep your rear derailleur somewhere between 1 and 3. When you're on the 2 front derailleur, somewhere between maybe 3 and 5. And then when you're in the position 3 on the front derailleur, then you can go up to 6 and 7. So monitoring which gears you're running on the 2 derailleurs is important. Okay. And just 1 second here. Let's see. There we go. So debris and slippery surfaces. So as we were out there in the fall, especially now, we've had a late fall with the leaves. They're all coming down now. Leaves are a big thing. They're quite slippery, especially when they get soggy if they haven't been cleaned up. You need to assume that's a very slippery surface and be mindful of that. Try and avoid it if you can. If you can't, really slow down and approach it cautiously. Just with the wet conditions, there's a lot more going on. The roads just inherently are more slippery when they're wet, but also oils can come out from maybe that were there during the summer periods. They can come out, the water can draw them out of the asphalt, and that can make the surfaces more slippery. Watch out for that. The other thing is the paints that are used, they can even be slippery once they get wet. So you see crosswalk markings or greenway markings. If you're taking a sharp turn on one of those paints, you might be more prone to slip. So once again, approach those situations cautiously. Railway tracks are a really important one. You always want to try and get them at 90 degrees, meaning so you're crossing them, your wheels, your bike is crossing them at 90 degrees. If you anything less than that, you need to be careful because your bike tires are going to want to find that slot that's adjacent to the tracks, and they're going to want to fall into that, and it could bring you down, right? So really slow down, try and get it as the sharp angle as possible to 90 degrees, and once you're over, you continue riding. Also be mindful when you're doing a swerve like that in a roadway, you're going to want to make sure that the cars around you understand what's going on. Maybe you want to signal something, maybe you want to check and make sure the cars aren't really close to you, let them pass first, because you're going to be doing an offset ride that might put you further into the lane. So just be aware of what's around you. Puddles and potholes. I tell the kids all the time, on trails, they're fun. You might want to zip through them, but on a road, you want to be very cautious. Puddles often hide potholes in asphalt, broken asphalt. If you have a deep enough pothole and you hit it with your front wheel, you can do an endo. It could bring you down. So really avoid puddles as much as you can. If you can't avoid them, approach them very, very slowly and cautiously, or pull over, hop off, walk your bike on the sidewalk, or whatever needs to be done. They oftentimes will hide surprises in there. So watch out for those. Route planning. So for fall and winter, right? So depending on what the weather is, you may choose a different route. So in the summertime, when the light's good, it's light out later. You may choose routes that go through parks and aren't lit because you have that natural daylight out there. And maybe the ground conditions are better when they're dry. Whereas in the winter, you might want to stay away from those packed gravel or those multi-use paths that are through parks that could get muddy or aren't lit, right? So you want to pick routes where maybe it's got better asphalt, it's got more lighting, might take a little bit longer, but it's going to be a safer ride. So really look out for that stuff. Don't always just fall back to your route that you always take. Consider these things when you are biking in the fall and winter. They are going to keep you safer. And the other thing is we have lots of route planning software out there. I'm still a guy who uses Google, but I use it with a grain of salt. So be very cautious if you are going to use Google for your route planning. Understand that it's not always accurate. It's not always giving you the best bike routes. I've often taken it to one further level where I'll grab the Street View icon. I'll get down there on the Street View and I'll go through the route on the Street View just to make sure that where it's sending me is a suitable place to bike. Okay. There are other software. I've heard good things about ridewithgps.com. So consider these things, but for the first time you ever take a route, really take that time to investigate where it's taking you. Don't just trust what you're seeing. It's really, really, really important. And the other thing is check out your public transit options as well. So if you're on a route, know if it's going by a SkyTrain, you maybe got your compass card on you, or the bus system that goes around you. then you can consider using maybe transit in the morning and then ride home, depending on what it is, and going into the next one. So that's the multimodal. So just talking about the bike racks on the bus, if you've never used them, they're really easy to use. The only thing is they only take 2 bikes. I've only encountered one situation where one person had to wait, but they're really easy to use. The bus drivers I've found are really patient and helpful. You pull a lever, the rack comes down, you put your bike in it. Now, the only thing with the bike racks are, if you have a front fender, the clamp that comes over top of your front wheel, unfortunately, the bus operators, they want it as high up as possible, to 90 degrees. And so I've had to put it over my fender. It hasn't damaged it yet, but I have heard stories about it damaging fenders. So just be mindful of that and be careful when you're pulling the clamp over top of your front wheel. But the bike racks work great. The beauty of the bike racks is then you get on the bus, you don't have to worry about holding your bike up like you do on the SkyTrain. You can go sit down on the bus and dry out or do it, do whatever, have your coffee. So the bike racks work really great. Bikes on the SkyTrain. So there are some periods where you're not allowed bikes on the SkyTrain. Typically it's with rush hour. So if you're heading from Surrey to downtown or in that direction, you're not allowed it in the morning. I think the times, I had them at one point, but it's like 7 to 9 or 9:30. You're not allowed the bikes on the SkyTrain for obvious reasons. The SkyTrains are really packed. You don't want to be in there with your bike. Likewise, on the way back in the afternoon from downtown, heading east, you're not allowed your bike on the SkyTrain. I want to say it's between like 4 and 6:30 or something like that. So be mindful of that. If you get your bike on the SkyTrain before 7, I believe it's allowed. So as long as you start your route by 7 o'clock or before 7, you should be okay. A lot of the SkyTrain stations have bike lockers as well. So if you, we're running out of time here. So if you can throw your bike in a bike locker or sign up for it, that's a good option. And sorry, Lisa, we're running behind time here. So
the TransLink website has lots of information, and that's where most of this info comes from. So if you just go to the bike page of TransLink, you can get all this info quite easily. I'll find the link to the page and drop it in the chat.
Awesome. Okay, I'll try and zip through this real quickly. So e-bikes are allowed on the buses, the racks as well, as long as they're 55 pounds or or less, and the wheels fit into the actual holders, right? Let's see. Talk to the driver when you get on the bus. Let them know when you're getting off that you're going to get your bike. I always exit off the front of the bus and speak to them and say, I'm just going to get my bike off, so they know not to take off without you. I have heard stories about people forgetting their bike on the bus. Okay, I'll just add this in. So if you haven't joined Hub, we have a $10 lifelong membership. We are a membership organization, so please consider signing up for that. And if there's no other questions, please ride safely out there. Give yourself lots of space. Be seen. Get lit up. Be visible out there. It can be very rewarding to ride in the fall and winter as well. If there's any questions, Lisa?
I don't see any more. We've just got some positive feedback.
Great.
We do have a survey post course that will get emailed to you. So if you want to, put in those positive comments in the survey, that would also be fantastic.
I'd appreciate it. Yeah, thanks. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. And once again, safe cycling out there. Please really be safe and look out for others in your space as well.